Hi, Paul Gerard from Price Accounting Services back for another brief video about 2024-2025 and audit issues. Now, I mentioned in a previous video how the ATO has received additional funding of hundreds of millions of dollars to fund increased audit activity. And let me tell you, we have noticed it. If we were to compare, let's say 2023, where we might have had a few clients with queries, last year we would have been dealing with 2, 3, 4 dozen. So we're dealing with like 30 to 40 people with specific queries. And they can include omitted income, no dividends are shown, you didn't declare capital gain, you didn't declare your crypto because the ATO's got access to that data. And the other big one we're seeing more and more of is property. The ATO now manages an extraordinarily large database of property throughout Australia, and it gains information from real estate agents, from bond holdings, insurers for landlord insurance, online short stay platforms such as Airbnb, stays, etc. So they've got the info and they link that to their property database, and then they look at ownership. So enormous risk, because not only does it generate a query in terms of why wasn't this disclosed, but also they then look at, if that wasn't disclosed, what else did you get wrong? So let me run through a rental scenario, and this is the very common one. So the ATO is spending an enormous amount of money on rental audits. Why? Well, because they're finding enormous ranges of mistakes being made by clients and tax agents to clients, where they might lack the proficiency in understanding some of the issues. For example, let's say you originally borrowed $300,000 to buy a unit, and later on it's grown in value and you've accessed some of the equity, and I don't know, you bought a car, or you've done a repair, put a new kitchen in. The ATO expects that every change in that loan from day one right through to today, even after 5 or 6 refinances, that there's an unbroken chain and that the loan balance doesn't jump up for anything that cannot be explained. So let's use the example of the kitchen. They then say, can I see a receipt for the 2022 new kitchen that you bought at IKEA or wherever you bought it? Okay. And then you say, well, I can't find that. So the ATO will then disallow that proportion of the total loan interest for a number of years. So they'll go back at least 2 years, perhaps 4 in some cases. So that's a costly mistake. The other one is getting things like repairs wrong. The ATO are being very aggressive, and we are finding that we are having to fight the ATO quite successfully in terms of review of repairs. The ATO will often argue very aggressively a particular point of view, which we often find is invalid. So you might notice in our tax checklist, we do ask that you break down your repairs. Now, the reason for doing that is a pre-audit risk eliminator. We want to remove the risk that you will later be audited, and we can then show what work was done. Perhaps we might have a copy of a receipt, or at least we've got your information to be able to go back to you and ask for it. And we're finding that is the most successful way of avoiding these audit arguments, because a small audit issue, such as repairs, balloons. The ATO then sends a letter. They say, we want to review your lease, we want a copy of your agent engagement, how was your rent determined, do you have any third-party associates who are renting from you, how did you set the market rate, loans, I want to review back to day one, refinances in between, and so on. It's enormously expensive, and the tip we give there is, if you're fortunate to be one of the clients we invite to be eligible to take out our Audit Shield insurance each year, consider it. It's tax deductible, but it's also invaluable. I had 2 clients in the last year who had those significant property audits. And in each case, the total cost to them was nothing. However, the total cost in terms of our time to prepare quite aggressive arguments to the ATO as to why they wanted to disallow deductions. And in both cases, we were 100% successful. Okay, $5,000 plus. It's insane. It's very costly when it comes to an audit. They want every piece of paperwork. They want it provided in a certain way. They want disclosure of certain things, and we do that. So watch out for your audit issues, and I hope if you've got any questions in relation to audit and additional information you might need to provide, do discuss it with us. We're more than happy to explain to you why we need to check these certain things. For example, why do we need to look at your repairs? We're not here to do an audit. Absolutely not. I keep saying that to all of our staff. Our job's not to audit you. However, our job is to remove the risks to you that you haven't made an incorrect claim. So we're here to protect your interests in that way. So I hope that's been helpful. And like I said, if you've got any questions, queries or anything, these or any other matters, contact the office, email or by phone, and we're more than happy to help you. So I hope that's helped you. All right, till next time, cheers, bye.